Okay, welcome everybody back to Steve Talks Boxing X, STBX, where we talk real boxing with the real boxing fans. And in this week's show, we're talking about this weekend's heavyweight clash, which is Joe Joyce versus Derek Chisora, which is at the O2. And joining me this week is Liam Tully. Thanks, Liam. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, Steve. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, certainly got some good talking points anyway to go through. My first question to you, I think lots happened since the fight's announced. My first question to you, Liam, is quite a serious one. Will Derek Chisora be ordering his 5 guys from Deliveroo after the fight?
Well, I think it will depend what time the show finishes. We know Frank Warren shows are going after midnight. So if if 5 guys are still open in the O2, I'm sure he'll pop in there. He might not cut the middleman out.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't too bad last weekend, was it? So with
made a change.
Yeah,
20 to 11 main event made a change.
Yeah, it's anything before 11 main event is always a bonus, if you ask me, for us boxing fans. So ideally 10 o'clock would be great, but we just don't get it nowadays, do we?
Unless it's a stadium fight, obviously, because there's different rules around that. That seems to be the only time you can guarantee a 10 o'clock main event is a stadium fight, unfortunately.
Yeah. What would you, going back to that picture with Del Boy, with the Deliveroo driver, do you think that was a bit silly? Like that happened like literally 2 weeks before a big fight for him. Do you think that's a bit risking it all? Because I know what the British Boxing Board are like. Anything to, ban you or, do you think that was a bit silly or Del Boy there?
Derek is Derek at this point in his career. You know what you're going to get. We know he can be a loose cannon. We know he can turn up and cuddle everyone and be your best friend. It's just getting him to fight night. You can't have someone with him 24/7 to control him at the end of the day. He is the enigma in person he is. Fortunately, nothing was taken any further with the police. I think if it was a situation where the police got involved, then maybe the board is stepping in. But bygones be bygones for Derek at the end of the day, especially at this point of his career. You just want to get him to fight night and see what he has left.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Del Boy has made it clear he wants to reach 50 fights before retiring. This is number 48. Do you think he'll make it to 50?
When you asked me this question the other day, my answer was yes. But having seen his social media over the weekend, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen, he's saying this is his last dance. This is my last dance at the O2. This is my last dance. Let's go out with a bang. Maybe now the decision's been made. This is my hurrah. He's old. He's become more of a family man. He is much more grand with his kids now, as we saw before his last fight with Washington. I've always said yes, but in the last few days, I think this could be it.
Yeah, because I posed the same question to Dev Shani, and he said he does want to fight 2 more times. He wants to fight in Africa as well. So apparently, that's one of them 2 fights. So make what you want from that, really. So a bit of a strange one.
You never know. Derek wins this. He finds himself on a Saudi show. That's 49. You never know. This climate we're living in at the moment is fantastic. Yeah, you never know.
Who said you can't take Riyadh season to Africa? That could be something new as well. Stick AJ on the card or something. So you
got LA in a few weeks. You've got Wembley coming up in September. Turkey wants to grow it. He wants it to go to new grounds. Chisora could be the right person for that. Yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
Obviously, we spoke about Del Boy making him want it to go to 50. What about his fans? Do they want him to really carry on fighting? Now, I've had a bit of a mixed response from people, really.
It's difficult because I am a big Del Boy fan. I have loved the antics and fighting of Del Boy over the years growing up, watching him. Going off of his last fight, which is all we got to go off, no, I don't want him to go on. I would have been quite happy if he said goodbye after that. Looking at him in the ring, he's never been the quickest fighter, has he? But he was slow, he was cumbersome. It was quite a hard watch last August. So personally for me, if he looks the same on Saturday night, no, I wouldn't want to see him fight again. But,
you can't take it away from Chisora. He loves fighting. It's clear. He loves it. It's in his blood. And he doesn't duck anyone, does he? You look at the names on his record. He does not duck anyone.
No, I was looking for his box rack earlier, and some of the names on there, he's fought Kubrat Pulev, he's fought Hayes, fought White twice, Fury 3 times, which make it out what you will, especially with the third fight.
He's
never
2 times too many.
you could say.
Yeah. But yeah, his
Yeah, I
records
think he
probably.
does. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so as well. His record certainly, he's fought the best out there heavyweight wise, isn't he? So you can't knock that from him.
He's had his fair shares of robberies when he went out to Finland,
Mm-hmm.
like Hellenius. That's the robbery I can remember from probably going back over 10 years now. He's fought
Mm-hmm.
Brentwood Leisure Centre to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's sort of seen the full
Yeah,
range of everything boxing's been in
mm-hmm.
this country the last 10, 15 years, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Going back to Joe Joyce, though, obviously, if he loses, should he call it a day? Because he's not getting any younger as well. So I think he's 38 now.
I think a big question with Joe will be, if he was to lose on Saturday, right, what is there for me now? You can see a path for him if he wins. You can see doesn't necessarily go to Riyadh and the Saudi show straight away, but you can see a pathway for him. If he loses, is he going to want to build back against another Cash Ali like opponent at, what is he now, 37, 38 years old? I don't think he will. So his motivation has to be on winning to keep himself ticking over, because he can see that there's big money there for him. He just needs to put himself back in the position he was in before he fought Zhang twice.
Yeah. Did you think he's still got a title shot in him? Do you think he will get that opportunity? Because obviously it's hard getting a title shot in the first place, but do you think he's still got it in him?
We've already seen the belts are already starting to become fractured. For whatever it's worth, the IBF belt's on the line at Wembley in September. It wouldn't surprise me after the rematch happens, whenever it happens between Fury and Usyk, at least one or two of those belts go away. So a vacant title, if he keeps winning, is likely. AJ against Joyce, or AJ against or Joyce against Dubois as a rematch. You could see that happening. With the belts becoming fractured, I think that's going to work more in his favour.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think if he keeps winning, there's a shot in there for him.
And there's always an interim belt kicking around, isn't there? That's the one.
Maybe for what weight you want to put on that?
Yeah, sure. We've got. I know I spoke a lot about age. Joyce 38, Chisora 40, combined age of 78 for this fight. It sounds crazy. So at 40, going back to that question, should have Chisora called it a day, a few fights ago, really?
Yes, especially when you look at the fights he's had. I mean, you can never assume a person's circumstances, but you can't say he's fighting for money at this point. Of course, you never know, but you can't say he needs one more big payday in his career. But as you've said, he's a lover of fighting. He loves, he loves a scrap. Deliveroo drivers and a boxing ring. He's happy to have a scrap. So I think tearing him away from it is probably the hard thing, and that's where you need the right people on your side to tell you, right, go on now, enough's enough. Get out of here while you can still be a dad to your two daughters before something happens, because we've seen it happen in this game. That's not something in the 70s and 80s. That can still happen.
Yeah, it can do. Usyk recently said in an interview, Chisora was one of the hardest punchers he's been in the ring with. Should Joe be worried about that?
Joe Joyce is Mr. Granichen, isn't he? I know we saw him stopped by Zhang, but that was a shot that I reckon would have stopped any of the heavyweights. Usyk, Dubois, Joshua, any of them, I reckon, would have been stopped by that shot in their second fight. His chin was still there against Cash Ali. He was taking big shots even into the 9th and 10th round. His chin was still being tested, and he just kept coming forward. So, look, one punch can change a fight. That is what boxing is built, especially the heavyweight division. But I don't think he needs to be going into this fight overly wary of Chisora, especially Chisora at this stage of his career.
Yeah. Well, going back to that, I know you touched on it earlier. That last fight, Chisora's fight against Gerard Washington, that was a stinker. I was there at the O2 for that one. Who was on the undercard of AJ Hellenius, and oh my god, he made hard work of that.
He did, and I think that's again a reflection of where he's at the moment in his career. He's coming. That was his first fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since losing to Fury.
Yeah.
He didn't really offer anything against Fury in that fight. And okay, it's all well and good saying what's Tyson Fury didn't allow Chisora to have any time. There was enough signs there to say to me that was time for Chisora to call it a day. The fact he plodded through 10 rounds against Washington looking even worse, but obviously he had more success, so we could see more of what his output was. And now here we are, 11 months further down the line, and he's having
still
another
there.
fight. Father Time's a difficult one. That's the one thing you can't defeat. He can have all the heart, he can keep his chin, but Father Time catches up with everyone.
Yeah, I agree. He just looked a bit laboured, and I didn't know much about Washington before, to be honest with you, but I kind of anticipated Chisora to stop him, but it turned into a much harder fight than that. Maybe I underestimated Washington a bit. I don't know. So
I think that was the reason Chisora was given Washington as an opponent. At this stage of his career, you knock him over, and maybe he had said to Eddie, because that was obviously as part of on a matchroom card. Maybe Eddie has said, if you do that, I've got something here for you that's going to be your big hurrah, your last swan song. And it didn't work out. And then it's interesting. He's obviously in the away corner, so to speak, for this weekend. So he's moved away from Eddie. I know he's still with 258, but perhaps Eddie said to him, look, that's us done. You need to retire now. You've been a fantastic servant. Thank you very much. The fact that he's now gone into the away corner for this fight could be telling. You know, you can only read so much into these things as well.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get any antics from Del Boy this week? I'm not saying table throwing or stuff like that. So, but will he try and ramp up the psychological side of things, or try and get into Joyce's head a bit?
One last song. He's going to have some fun with it. What he does, the press conference all on the way, and I think Thursday afternoon could be an interesting one. I think that will be in ramping it up, seeing what he can do. Few antics. I think if this is his last swan song, as his socials are seeming to see, he's made his mind up with. Then I think he's going to go out in good old Chisora fashion and try and give everyone a few laughs along the way.
Yeah. You can't knock him for that. He's certainly entertaining when it comes to boxing personalities. Then the pressers are good with him. You know, some people would just tune in just to obviously see him. Joyce may be a bit more reserved, a bit more quieter on that side of things as well, I think.
Yeah, Joyce is a much more mild-mannered, lets his talking be done on a fight night as opposed to in the build-up, absolutely. So beyond Chisora, if there is going to be any antics, I would say.
Sure. Going back to Joyce, how much do you think them two losses from Zhang has taken out of Joyce?
So I was at the first Joyce Zhang fight, and I honestly went into that fight expecting Joyce to be tested, but him to do what he's built up his reputation of being, taking shots, wearing an opponent down, finding a way to get a stoppage late in the fight, sort of similar to what he'd done against Joseph Parker. But the thing that struck me, it's the first time I've seen Joyce fight live, is there's no head movement. It's all well and good having this granite chin, but his eye took a pace in that. And I had a good ringside, good seats, and his eye from the second round was already closing. The rematch, he'd arguably won both of the first 2 rounds, and then that was one of the best shots Zhang's ever thrown to finish it in the third. As I said earlier, would have finished any heavyweight for me.
Yeah, that was game over, wasn't it? When he landed.
Absolutely. So how much has it taken out of him? It's taken something out of him because he was a lot more cautious and cumbersome against Cash Ali. And let's be honest, Cash Ali is not in the top 10 British heavyweights. We're not clambering for him to get a British title shot, are we? So I think it has taken something out of him mentality-wise. But he now has a further 5 months, a second training camp with a new training team as well. So you've got to take that into account as well. Moved away from Ishmael Salas. He's with a new coaching team. Takes time to bed in, takes time to learn what your coach is wanting of you. So this may be a better version.
Yeah, in that space of time after obviously the 2 defeats. And, well, I was going to talk about the Cash Ali fight next. It took him 10 rounds to deal with Cash Ali. I probably stuck my neck on the line at one stage and said, yeah, Joyce is going to finish this, 3 or 4 rounds. So did you expect the same, or did you make hard work of that?
I expected that fight to be a blowout. I think that was what it was. Again, we talked about Chisora, Washington. I've kind of put Joyce and Ali in the same bracket. He's been given that as a bit of a stepping stone. Go out here, give us a highlight reel KO that we can put around on social media, and then we'll launch you into something else. He did make hard work of it, absolutely. How much of that was down to Cash Ali? Cash Ali was very good at covering up. He was very good at holding on when he knew he was hurt. And maybe Joyce won it to rounds. You got to think that he lost in April and September. So he had 2 very close together defeats with the eye injury as well. Perhaps he wanted to get 10 rounds under his belt. But I definitely expected it to be a much more dominant blowout than what it turned out to be, 100%.
Yeah. Frank Warren's described this fight as a proper old school heavyweight fight. that seems to be a long time in the making. Do you agree with that?
Old school in the sense that it's two very one-paced heavyweights moving away from what we've seen in this more modern era. I can agree with.
Yeah. Is that what it means?
Who knows?
Old school, nothing to do with our age. I mean,
possibly. I think they are you could definitely call Joe Joyce a throwback heavyweight. He's going back to what you got in your 80s and 90s, as opposed to what we've seen in more modern times with Mike Tyson, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, etc., etc. He is definitely more of a throwback fighter for me than that. Perhaps that's what Frank means, but we never know with Frank. That could mean one of 100 things.
Yeah, you just think it's just a selling point of the fight, isn't it? Really. So maybe get the older boxing fans involved, maybe, or to disagree or agree with it. I'm not sure.
There's bigger things to play on. You can play on this as being an all London fight, and that is an all London fight at the O2. There you go. That's your selling point there. You don't need any other gimmicks really with it. You could sell it purely on that.
Yeah, I think the tagline's "Go big or go home." And someone put under my tweet of the fight poster, they should both go home. So not everyone's going to love this fight, are they? Really? So
you can't please everyone, and a lot. Look, what Saudi's doing is bringing a whole influx of new fans, but unfortunately, they're used to seeing those mega cards we're getting in Saudi. So they look at Joe Joyce and Derek Chisora and are like, "Come on, where's the razzmatazz? Where's something that's going to get me excited?" For us, well, I'm sure I class myself, and I'm sure you're as well, a diehard boxing fan. This is still a fight that gets me excited.
Yeah,
more to see what Joyce and Chisora both have left as opposed to anything else. But sometimes that's all you want from a good fight, especially domestically.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like these fights, to be honest with you, because both are pretty much at the end of their career. Both got a win, so I kind of like these fights. Although I may not agree, maybe Chisora should have retired a few fights ago, but I certainly, if he's wished to carry on fighting, I can't tell him what to do. He's a grown man. But I kind of like these fights. I like the fights when both fighters really got a win, really. So to make it. Yeah, probably more pressure on Joyce than there is maybe Chisora, because obviously Chisora is already talking about retirement. I think when you get that in your head, you may be thinking, this could be it. So, but probably more pressure on Joyce than Chisora.
And I would agree with that. And I think if Joyce was to lose on Saturday night, a big question then would be, did he hang around 4 years too long in the amateurs? Remember, he went through that second Olympic cycle to go to Rio before turning pro. He was already in his 30s by the time he turned pro. Okay, heavyweights blossom later, they can go on for longer, but if he does lose on Saturday and then retires, the conversation for me would be, okay, was it worth hanging around for that extra 4 years instead of getting into the pros after 2012 when Anthony Joshua went ahead of him?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The bookies have made Joyce 1 to 5 on to win. Do you think they've got that wrong?
Comes back to a lot of things we've spoken about. The unpredictability of Chisora. If he turns up on the night and he's there for one last hurrah, rough and tumble, the bookies could look wrong. But if the Chisora we've seen over the last T fights against Washington and Fury turns out, then
no,
they've got it spot on for me. Yeah, it really does depend what Chisora wants from the fight. Is he there to hero Derek Chisora sang at the L2 and to try and survive 12 rounds, or is he there to try and win and try and cause what would be a fairly big shock for me? It would be looking at their career paths and where they're at, be a fairly big shock. But anyway, we'll move on.
Well, the bookies are definitely favouring Joyce on this one. After Saturday, we got a winner. Who would you like them to face next?
Joe Joyce wins, as I've said earlier. There's a path there. If Dubois was to beat AJ in September, then you've got that rematch for a world title on the line.
Yeah.
Or another fight I would quite like to see for Joyce would be the winner of the winner of the Andy Ruiz fight and the LA cards on the 3rd of August. I feel like that's another stepping stone for him as well, because that is, again, a credible world level opponent, whoever comes through that fight. Or there's Martin Bakole as well. He's fighting Jared Anderson on that card, which I think is a fantastic fight. Martin Bakole comes out of all these statements, says he does this to everyone in sparring, including Joe Joyce as well. So there could be an opportunity there.
Well, I think Bacole's legendary for beating everyone in sparring, to be honest with you. So
the unified sparring champion of the world, isn't he?
He is 100%.
Yeah,
we see that in the ring in real life. But yeah, there's certainly big fights, isn't there, still to be made. And
in terms
maybe,
of Chisora, yes.
Yeah.
In terms of Chisora, to provide balance, that if he wins, he's going to want the biggest fight possible, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he'd be looking for. I can imagine a Saudi payday, perhaps. I don't know. So who knows? So
I could see him on a Saudi card fighting Filip Hrgović, fighting Joe Parker again. Parker's got an interim belt, hasn't he? For, as we said earlier, what's that worth? If he does win, he'll fight Parker, Hrgović, or someone that's got that name value to him payday as well, because he is literally cashing in right at the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
Going back to the fight itself, back to Joyce versus Chisora, what kind of fight can we expect as fans?
Del Boy will come out. He will swing. He knows. Look, he's not going to have to go looking for Joyce. Joyce will be there to hit. There's not a fast range of movement and footwork that's be coming back his way. So for Chisora, his plan will be to connect and see what he does. See if Joyce's chin has deteriorated. See if he is also on a downward trajectory. For Joyce, it's all about building up rounds. You're not going to take Chisora out with one punch. It's going to have to be an accumulation of work over the round. So he's going to need to put some shots in the bank early on, use his jab. Body work could also play a big part in this fight. Chisora it's never been one for a six-pack. There will be something there to work with, so work on the body as well. And I envisage, put the work in, and then in the second half of the fight, look to take over. If Chisora is showing his age, that will be when he tires. For Chisora, I think it will be looking for one or two big punches and stopping Joyce. Whereas I think there's a path through the fight for Joyce to navigate much easier than there is for Derek.
Sure. Finally, your prediction for the fight?
Prediction for the fight: Joyce stoppage between 8 and 10.
So kind of late-ish stoppage. Yeah.
As I just said, he's not. Look, he may come out and do it in a round and make me look silly, but you don't stop Chisora quickly. You have to put the work in. You have to build it up over time.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's going to be a late stoppage for Joyce as well. Obviously, Del Boy's got a puncher's chance, but I don't know. I've not seen much really what would suggest that happening. You never know. It is boxing anyway, so you never know. But I would say a late stoppage as well for Joyce. What do you think of the undercard as well? Is there any other outstanding fights there for you, Liam?
Not necessarily a fight, but a fighter. Moses Tuma is an absolutely thrilling prospect. I'm very excited by him. Marius Wax, a fantastic step up for him.
Yeah.
Fully expected to come through it. If he's to get a stoppage on Wack, then he joins Klitschko, Povetkin, and he joins a very elite group of heavyweights that stopped Wack.
Even Fraser Clark, he couldn't stop him, I don't think.
Fraser Clark,
I remember,
laboured for it. So it's a win-win for a team. If he wins and it goes to 10 rounds, that's 10 valuable rounds to build him towards a British title tilt. If he gets him out of there quickly, then people are going to be talking about him in the company of some elite heavyweights from the last 10, 15 years, which cannot be a bad thing. This will be his 10th professional fight, so you're not a bad position to be in. Yeah, especially it just turned 20 as well. He's fantastic.
Yeah. He's definitely one to watch, isn't he? Really. So
absolutely.
How would you rate the undercard though? Are people getting? I know we had the Magnificent Seven last weekend, maybe a bit spoiled when you compare it to this undercard, perhaps.
I would agree with you. I think if you're a bit of a boxing nose and you enjoy your fights, McCann Baluta is a fight to get excited over. And Dennis McCann, for me, is a fighter only on an upward trajectory. He's going to get to the very top. The fact there's now a European title on this as well. There you go. There's your stepping stone. He'll be ranked with the governing bodies afterwards. So it's fantastic. In terms of the other stuff, there's nothing there to really grab me. Archie Sharp's on the cards. Is that going to be a fight? Archie Sharp's going to turn up. He's either going to look spectacular or he is the sort of fighter that will just go through the points. So I agree with you. Compared to the Magnificent Seven card, it's a more low-key on the cards. And it's an 11-fight card, so it could be a particularly long night, depending on how the fights go as well.
Yeah. Well,
it could be a long night.
Yeah, I think predicted ring walks were 10 o'clock, it was saying, but like I said, it's probably more like 11 o'clock, I should imagine anyway.
There's not many punches, is there, on the undercard other than Moses? There's not a history of knockouts through those undercard fights.
It could be a long night. Before you go, Liam, always have some ending questions, and this one is about this fight: $23.99 for Crawford versus Madriov. Are you paying for it? And that's with DAZN. So
I will pay for it for the simple fact
Mm-hmm.
Crawford is pound for pound #1 in the world for me right now, and he is, again, how many fights are we going to get left of Crawford? What he's doing as someone who is really a lightweight, if we're being honest, a lightweight, super lightweight, is going up to super welterweight here. It's something exciting to see, and I do have him as a favourite in this fight. It will be a hard fight for him, but I do have him as a favourite. And that's a card as well that's value for money for me. Okay, it's in America, so it's staying up overnight, but it's a value for money card at that price as well.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned some of the fights earlier, the heavyweight fights we got on that card also. Yeah. So, but yeah, so you're quite happy to pay that money then?
Yeah, wouldn't stretch as far as happy, but I'm going to do it to see the quality of the fight.
Yeah,
So,
begrudged, maybe.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Crawford, like you said, he's one of them pound for pound stars that I think a lot of people follow and rate, obviously, as pound for pound fighter out there. Yeah. Also got AJ versus Deliveroo coming up in September. Are you excited about that?
I'm excited about that. AJ was, for me as a teenager, was the start of my boxing journey. That's how I got into boxing, fell in love with boxing, went back through boxing to look at stuff that's happened in the past. I've been with the AJ journey from the start. So yes, very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to being at Wembley as well for that fight. And again, another fantastic card. But Dubois' trajectory at the moment, he's only going upwards. If you look at him after the Joyce fight, has he got heart? Is he a quitter? Is he really made for being a heavyweight boxer? And well, he's answered those questions in spades against Miller and Hrgovic in his last 2 fights.
Yeah, 100%.
Joshua was on a renaissance as well. Under Derek James, he wasn't looking anything special. Under Ben Davidson, again, he's back to where he was 6-7 years ago. So it's an intriguing fight, definitely.
Sure. Any other than the main event on that one, any other standout fights for you on that card?
2 fights for me stand out. So Josh Kelly and Liam Smith. I just think that could be nothing short of an all-out war.
Yeah.
Josh Kelly's on his way back up. He stayed with Adam Beef. We know he's got the boxing style. Liam Smith is just an out-and-out dog of a fighter. He will keep swinging, keep punching, no matter what state he's in for a fight. So I can't see that being anything but a war. And Kakachi against Warrington as well is a fight that gets me excited. Warrington, okay, there was a lot of talk on social media of what's he done to get this fight. He's only won 1 fight in 3 years or whatever it's been, but he has a fan-friendly style. And I can't see, Kakachi could be the right opponent for him. No one expected Kakachi to do what he done against Cordina out in Saudi. Kakachi's riding that wave at the moment, but I think Warrington's style will give Kakachi more problems. He'll sit there on his chest. He'll come to box him. He won't give him the space and room to get shots off like a boxer of Cordina's nature done. So I can see that being a firefight as well. Yeah,
and we know Warrington, he likes to fight as well, isn't he? He's a come-forward fighter. So, I think, that's a great fight on there as addition as well. We also got Tyler Denny against Shiraz as well. That's another little cracking one on there. So it's not bad build, is it, really, when you look at it, really? So,
I mean, how good for Tyler Denny? He wins the European title at home, fights on a matchroom card and beats Felix Cash, and then 2 days later signs the fight at Wembley. I mean, what fantastic! Yeah.
It's a great fairy tale story, isn't it, for him?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. So. And regardless of what happens, he's be at a level then, and there'll be other opportunities out there for him, regardless of what was happening against Shiraz.
Shiraz, I totally agree, and he's achieved so much in that little short space as well, hasn't he? Really, he's really turned that career around.
Forged a legacy for himself, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, brilliant. Well, that's it for another show. Thanks, Liam, for coming on. Thanks for your time. For joining me. Obviously, please support the channel as best you can, with everyone out there, with likes, subscriptions and comments as well, and obviously enjoy the fights on Saturday. Thanks, Liam.
Cheers, thank you.